Hi, my name is Damian. I go by he and him, and I'm passionate about gender equity. In the 1980s, Paul Kivel of the Oakland Men's Project coined the term the man box to describe the rigid characteristics our culture puts on men to behave like men. Some of these include acting tough, hypersexuality, heterosexuality, aggression, and control. In light of the Me Too movement, we have come to understand these characteristics as toxic masculinity. However, I will be referring to them as unhealthy masculinity, traditional masculinity, and being in the man box. As a man, addressing unhealthy masculinity is important for my own well-being and for other men. Equally as important is holding myself and other men accountable for the power and privilege our gender affords us and the responsibility we have to foster a healthier and more equitable society. In 2018, the organization Promundo, a global leader in gender equity, conducted an international study building off of Kivel's man box framework to understand the experiences of men inside and outside of the box. Overwhelmingly, men have experienced pressure to be in the box. 70% of men in the United States reported they had been told to act like a man. The study further revealed dramatically different experiences between men who were trying to live up to traditional masculinity and those who weren't. In the United States, for example, 81% of men in the box said that they had bullied someone compared to 23% of men outside of the box. 71% of men inside of the box reported to have sexually harassed someone, whereas men outside of the box reported a rate of 7%. Lastly, 56% of men in the box reported to have had suicidal thoughts compared to 19%. The further a man is inside of the box, the more they harm themselves, others, and society. I started out my thesis journey to try to understand the challenges and barriers men experience moving from within the box to outside, and how we might find an intervention to encourage men to shed the box. I partnered with two groups, the Positive Masculinity group and the Feminist Discussion of Masculinities, to better understand men's experience and process of moving outside of the box. The Positive Masculinity group is a meetup with over 100 cis and trans men in their 20s and 30s of different racial and class backgrounds coming from this tri-state area. They meet in Brooklyn, and the discussion format is open. The Feminist Discussion of Masculinities group is open to all genders and ages and has over 800 members that include queer and straight men and women. I engaged in both groups as a researcher and a participant. Over the course of the thesis process, I maintained direct communication with the facilitators and members on an ongoing basis. After a month of attending the groups, the men that had successfully moved outside of the box had done so through an intervention when someone they cared about showed them how their traditional masculinity had impacted their relationship negatively. One man shared his story. "She told me I had really hurt her. She told me she really valued me and our friendship and that she wanted me in her life. It was hard to hear. In order to acknowledge the hurt I had caused, I had to admit I did something wrong. Framing is everything. We were able to be vulnerable together. Instead of calling me out, she called me in." Two features of the man box are being tough and in control. The man box is a perfect negative reinforcing loop. When someone calls out our unhealthy masculinity, we reject fault as it is seen as weakness. Instead, we lean into aggression to regain control with defensiveness, which strengthens the man box, not disrupting it. With the Positive Masculinity group, we set out to have two co-creation sessions using role-playing and collaging to define healthy masculinity and develop a calling-in toolkit. Instead of the activities, a conversation emerged that took the focus away from the initial plan. One of the first insights was that men want more opportunities to build connections with other men. It's hard to make friends with other men. We need to have something to do. In high school, we had things like sports that brought us together, an activity. They didn't actually bring us close together. Maybe that's why we, men, become more and more isolated after high school. Second, men want a space where they feel safe to be vulnerable by sharing their questions, thoughts, and feelings. I'm lucky I have a few core group of male friends that were able to get deep with each other, but I know so many men that don't have their group of friends or don't have that group they're able to be vulnerable with. And lastly, men want a dedicated place, a place that's consistent and easily accessible. There are times when I wonder, was I being sexist? This group is so important because I have a place to talk about issues and have the support of you all to question myself. These groups provide a space for men to engage in the important work of asking questions, and that actually in the groups themselves, the work of calling in is being done. These groups provide that space, which led to the ultimate and last question. How might we create a space for men to have supportive friendships and community, to be vulnerable with themselves and others in order to foster healthy masculinity? Through additional co-creation sessions, we arrived at our intervention, the Healthy Masculinity Forum. Unlike third-party sites like Facebook, the Healthy Masculinity Forum is a dedicated platform, and its participants set its design, functionality, management, and moderation. Secondly, unlike Reddit, we wanted to create a conversation platform that focused on healthy masculinity that includes easy-to-navigate topics and conversations. Given the pandemic, during this process, the ongoing co-creation and communication moved to Zoom as well as onto Slack. We started a workspace with different Slack channels to discuss everything from the website design as well as just ongoing conversations to be in community with each other. For the design, we wanted diverse representations of men and masculinity as a way to ensure that all visitors would feel welcome. We wanted to go with colors that were gender neutral, although still bold. Green was also an important color as it reflected growth. Additionally, we wanted to leverage a design for the forum that didn't look like most forums online, like it was stuck in 1999. The website also takes advantage of its unique platform standing by being able to offer a definition of healthy masculinity, as well as from its users set the specific topics on the forum. And lastly, as we are talking about building community both online, we want these conversations to take place in the real world, which is why we created the Meetup Handbook, a guide for its members to create a meetup in their own local town and take these conversations into their communities. The next steps will be spreading the word about the forum through our relationships with organizations and companies, as well as through marketing campaigns to perk men's curiosity and interest. From the recommendations of the Positive Masculinity Group's members, and being the millennials that we are, here's a forum promotional video with all the 90s nostalgia and irony you could want. The Healthy Masculinity Forum aims to be a definitive platform for all men to build connections with each other, ask questions, get clarification, and support each other in the ongoing process of disrupting the man box. Thank you.